Hey, this is Bernie Dog. Some of the fellows over at BWCA, Boundary Waters Canoe Association forum, were asking me about drilling questions about how I do the caps, and so I thought I'd just make a quick video of my setup. Here is my drill press. It's a Grizzly. It didn't cost me a lot. They bring them in out of China. This one I've had for probably 20 years. It's a floor model. You certainly don't need one this big or fancy. There's my handy stool that I sit on all the time. You could get by with a benchtop model drill press as long as it has multiple speeds. You're fine. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of oomph to drill caps. Notice that my drill press is jacked up off the floor. That's because I'm 6.5 feet tall, so I try to bring everything, that's the bandsaw, try to bring everything a little higher for my convenience. You can see I've got some bright lights here to illuminate the area. There's one up here hanging off a shelf I have, and one just hanging off the back of the bandsaw. I run this at about 1600 RPM to do the tiny little holes for caps. The device you see there, the green thing, is a cross-slide vise. That also is from Grizzly, and I think they go around around maybe $45, $50, maybe more now. I'm not really sure. You don't need a real fancy one for what you're doing here. Again, it can be kind of a cheesy one, something an import out of China or something. Whatever you can find. You don't spend hundreds of dollars on one. That's unless you have some other use for it. I'm going to cut here and then refocus so that you can see the close details. Here's a real POV, point of view shot. This is what I see a lot. You can see I crank my head over this way to line up to drill the holes, and then I crank my head over this way to line up the drill bit with the line, and then I'll do, anywhere from 3 to 6 holes or more, depending on the cap. There's a couple actually that take up to 8 holes. And I drill the holes. This is a little prototype cap I'm working on right now. The bit in here you can see against this card I taped on so you can see it a little better. This is a number 57 in the numbered bits way of doing things. And it comes out to 0.043. Yeah, 0.043 thousandths of an inch. You metric folks, you have to do your conversion. Sorry, don't know it offhand. I'd have to look it up. But you can see I only have it out of the chuck. I mean, the bit itself is like, maybe 1.5 inches long, but I only chuck it out, 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch. And when it's chucked up like this, it's not all wobbly, and it's much stronger. And so that's how I am able to get away with drilling all these holes without breaking bits all the time, which is not to say I don't break bits. I do. I get my bits from McMaster Carr. These ones I'm using now are a cobalt steel. They're a little more than $1 each if you buy them by the dozen or something like that. It's my memory, which is fading. Anyway, and so they're kind of a high-speed steel, cobalt, like a machinist would use, and they do last pretty good. I can probably get, maybe 5 to 6 caps out of one. So they work pretty well. In use, what I do here, hopefully this will stay in focus. I doubt that it is. Here, we'll start. Okay, so now that we're focused. In use, this control controls the slide this direction. I only set it up so that the cap is centered, and then this gets locked with the lock screw that's down here. This direction is where I'm making all my motions. And I'm going to demonstrate how I do the drilling here in just a second, if I can set up a tripod so it'll work. But basically, I roll the cap. This can help me. This little piece of wood, I can push down on the cap and move the piece of wood to roll it and still keep it centered under the bit. And then the crank here is where I'm cranking it back and forth to drill each of the individual holes. You probably aren't going to be able to hear me once I turn this bandsaw on. It rattles pretty, or excuse me, this drill press on, because it rattles a lot and it's noisy. So just wanted to talk about that. But I'll demonstrate how it looks. Hang on. Okay, so I loosen up the vise, roll this cap a little bit, tighten up the vise. Now I'm going to have to look over the top of the camera out here. Because I can't talk and concentrate at the same time. What I'm looking for are little shavings like this to come off. So in terms of my feed rate, how fast I'm pushing it, you know, and some of it's just feel, but some of it is that I just want to have shavings. I want to see shavings coming off rather than dust. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also have a stop. The drill press has a stop so that when I am going down with the quill of the drill press, the chuck of the quill, which is in the quill, when it's going down, it reaches a certain point, it stops. And in my case, I've set it to stop before it touches this paper and tape wrapper I've wrapped around the cap. Because if I didn't, it would shred it. I rotate the cap underneath the bit and make sure it's lined up, okay? And now I'm going to do a little something else here. This is a little trick I have. This is just a chunk of aluminum. And what happens on this is that the shavings will build up at the base of the bit, up in here, right where it's going into the chuck. And eventually there will be a big blob of them. And they will shred this grid pattern that I've pasted on here, and you know, there I am. Oh gee, now I don't know where to put for the next hole. So sometimes I just come in here with a piece of aluminum and just touch where it's going into the bit, or into the chuck, where the bit's going into the chuck. All right, like I say, I can't concentrate and talk at the same time. Here we go. There's a couple of ranks of holes, and that's how I do it. If that helps anyone who wants to try to make their own cap, and I encourage you to, it's not that bad. You know, that's great. This is the method I've come to use now, this technical method with all these little jigs and fixtures, because, you know, people want all the holes lined up perfectly, and I understand that. But realistically, if you take a look at those two links that I included on that post at BWCA, I show where I'm using a center punch to center punch the holes, and then just drilling them. You know, I had like a Makita cordless, and my first few caps I just drilled them that way. And are they all perfectly aligned? Well, heck no, but you know, they're pretty good, and they do the job as long as they don't, you know, collide with each other. It's fine. And you know, anyway, so hopefully this helps you. If anybody wants to get crazy and go buy a cross-slide vise and all that fancy stuff, well, you know, more power to you. Make some caps. You know, hand assembly, handwork, I'm all for it. I'm behind you. let's see more cap building going on out there. Thanks a lot for watching.